My microphone wasn't plugged in. I was gonna say so true. It's August somewhere. My microphone was not plugged in. I forgot that I unplugged it yesterday to plug something else in. Because I wasn't streaming. So hi. Oh wait, I think you guys are still in ads. I forgot. It was 3 minutes now. There we go. Everybody gets finished. Well. But yes, hi. It's definitely August. Don't look at the date. Don't look at the... It's August somewhere. Not here, but somewhere. Listen, otherwise I'd have to wait to start this until next week. And then what would I do today? What would I do? I have my model up. We'll see if my computer throws a fit when I actually start running the game, and if it's like all laggy and stuff. Wow, Nightbot's actually putting up like all of the messages right now, huh? If it's all, you know, fumbled. Yeah, if you're in Australia, you can look at the date. But oh my god, if it's too like laggy and stuttery and all that with the model up, we'll switch to the Abby model. And then if that is still a problem, we'll switch to the PNG. You know, it is what it is. So with this randomizer, I want to get it out there that with this rando, I made sure that none of the city in the sky checks were necessary. Now I did have this realization like last night that there are some checks that I didn't make sure weren't necessary. That might be a problem, but we'll deal with it when we deal with it. But yes, the city in the sky, not necessary. All of the city in the sky checks are off. Anything that said city in the sky, off. Entrances are randomized though, so we will have to check what city in the sky is, but and the highest level of flight and foul is also turned off because I don't want to deal with that. I can't think of anything else that I actually checked off because I love to suffer. So this is going to be probably a big randomizer, probably at least 4 weeks of randomizer. So there's that. I didn't do anything interesting yesterday, so I don't have that much to talk about. I tried to do some work on Love Orchid, but I just like could not make myself write, which sucks. So that the progress there is not going super well, but I'm starting to like get the gears turning of writing the like introductory weeks. It's really the introductory stuff that I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to write. But yesterday I made some cookie dough. And I split it in half, and one half I put a little bit of Nutella and coffee in it, and it was not enough to change the flavor. But don't worry, the other half, I put a little bit of caramel syrup in. And you know what? Like flavoring syrup. And you know what? That also really didn't change the flavor. I only get the caramel in like the aftertaste, so I basically just made plain cookie dough. Which is like, it's good. It's still good. It's just not what I was trying to do. Oh well. I was really hungry yesterday. I ate so like we made chicken quesadillas and I ate so much chicken. I ate so much of that. I was like, this isn't gonna last till tomorrow because I'm hungry. And that wasn't the only thing I ate. I'm like really hungry. I don't know why. Like all the time, but like extra so the last week. It's like whenever we actually have food in the house, my stomach is like, you gotta eat everything. Also, I've been sneezing this morning. I don't know why. So if I mute for an extended amount of time, it's either because I'm coughing or because I'm like sneezing or blowing my nose. So I'm not just like going quiet on you, even though I could, and I have many a time. But Hold on, there's something on my microphone. Anyway, hold on, I'll get there. No, I got nothing. I don't know where I was going with that sentence. I just started talking and I didn't have a place to go. I actually woke up with my alarm at 6:30 in the morning because I hate myself. No, because I gotta change my sleep schedule for my appointment, and I like to do that over the course of a number of weeks instead of trying to do it at the last second. So I woke up then, and then I was like, I'm going back to sleep, and I set my alarm for 8:30, and then I woke up at like 8. No, then I woke up at like 7, and I went, no, go back to sleep. And then I woke up at like 7:30, and I went, I still have an hour. And then I woke up at 8, and then I could not go back to sleep. And I went, I just want to get extra sleep. So I got up, and I took a shower in the morning for once, and then I had breakfast, and then I was like, I still got 30 minutes before I need to stream. I'm not going to stream early, because that'll just mean that nobody shows up. Speaking of, hi PC and hi K Micah. So yeah, we're starting a Twilight Princess randomizer today. Aren't we excited? I am, because I love Twilight Princess. I made sure that that I'm opening the right file. It's in its own folder, and I changed the folder and all of that. So I made sure that was the case. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. You know, if this randomizer doesn't end up taking all of August, then I'll figure something else out. But for now, it's my plan. Also, well, no, not the next week will be pretty normal, but the week after, I will be streaming a lot leading up to my birthday. And then I won't be streaming the week after. Well, I don't know. I might. I say I won't be streaming. I might still be streaming. Just like not at, definitely not on Monday. I'm gonna be socially exhausted and physically probably also very tired. So, I don't know about that one, but I don't have anything to talk about. I ran out of things to yap about, so do we want to just get into the game and see how it runs with the model up and see if I need to switch and shut down Steam in my background? Okay, I know that this is the correct file, but I'm still going to like actually open the folder. Just make sure. Nope. From the end of July. This one. Open. Open. Once it's actually open, I will switch to the game screen and make sure you can see the game. Twilight Princess. My beloved. Please show on the screen. Thank you. There we go. What do you mean unsupported seed? Huh? Huh? Come on. I know what I'm doing. Don't do this to me. What do you mean unsupported seed? How does that happen? What? Oh no. All my preparation, it didn't work. What? Huh? Huh? What? What? Huh? Huh? Just me going, huh? Your output. Oh my god. Okay. Well, this is not good. Hey guys, This is not. Oh, it's still showing you the game, even though I shut it down. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay. First solution, I guess, is to just try reopening Dolphin. I mean, restarting my very normal GameCube. Oh, okay, let's see. Open this one. I've never had this happen before. I wasn't prepared for this problem. Unsupported seed. Why? What do you mean? And this. Huh? Let me just... Okay, yeah, it's just like putting me into normal... Huh. Huh. Well, that's... odd. That's really strange and really fucked up. Why is it not supported? Well, let's delete that because it's not working. Okay, let's put this... That's the thing. Not that. Seed. Let me try re-randomizing it. Not re-randomizing it, but like patching it. Not bad. This. There's the item. Found seed. I didn't expect this to be a problem. I'm sorry. I've done multiple like I haven't finished them, but I've had multiple Twilight Princess randomizers run perfectly fine. This is the first time this has been a problem. Of course, the first time it's a problem, it's the one that I didn't run ahead of time. Because I was like, I know what I'm doing. Everything should be fine. And rebuilding the ISO. So, how's everyone's Friday? you doing good? Okay, it's done. It's done. So we go to the output, and I'm gonna take this, and I'm gonna copy it, and I'm gonna put it back over here. Okay, and then I'm gonna take and go to Dolphin, which I should have kept open, but I didn't. Okay. Now, if I go here, and I go here, and I open this, and it should say, good job, you did it. This is working perfectly fine because it's fine. It still says it's unsupported. Why? What? What's unsupported? Did I accidentally set it to like the wrong region? What? Let me look at the log for this. Settings, settings, Deleting all the checks, required judge shuffle entrances. There's all the items. That's not really what I'm interested in. Huh. Nothing here. Okay, see. I don't understand. I genuinely don't understand. Okay, well, let's, hey guys. We're gonna, while I'm doing this, we'll just be talking, we'll be chatting about, because I have to redo this and reacquire the randomizer and all of that. Because it doesn't work. Which means I can just go ahead and, let's see, take this and go over here, and I'm just going to delete this folder completely. And new folder, August Rando. Here is where I'm going to end up putting stuff. This, we can delete that. Go here. Here, delete that. And go to the ISOs. I'm going to delete that and actually take the original this and copy it again, just to make sure. Okay. Okay, so we're having the time over here. I'm sure it'll be perfectly fine, right? This is the like 4th one I've done, and yet it's suddenly having this problem. Yeah, I want you to search for the thing I put. Yes, this. Go here. Don't you just love it when there's tech issues? So, what's wrong with this? USA. Let's just have it be all. And see if that works. Now I have to randomize the fucking sounds and stuff, which means it's all going to be different. I set the cosmetics up too. I did it so well. I set all of the cosmetics to like a specific set of colors, and now I gotta redo it all. Damn it. Well, not to like a specific set of colors, but I did set everything to be like the same. When it's like the same armor, I set it to all be the same like color, so that it would match, and it went, no, fuck you. Okay, the rest of that can be whatever. Hold on, I almost got it. I've almost got it. Okay. I don't need to. All right. If I just do this here, and I have it patch it itself, so that I don't have to do it myself, and it'll already be patched. I have apple juice. I forgot I brushed my teeth before stream. Every time with me. I never remember. I forget every single time. It's so consistent, it's kind of embarrassing. I wish I had more to talk about. I don't have any plans for the weekend or anything. I'm just like, I'm just gonna work. It's like my weekend plans is to finally, like, actually do work I'm supposed to be doing. That is, working on Love Orchid. Or, or the images I need for my PowerPoints, but that's technically less important. Writing virtual file system, 54%. So... How's everyone's day? Wait, I already did that. I already did that bit. Are you eating well? Are you gonna see friends on the weekends? Yes, save file. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I will this here. This. Put my downloads folder, and once it's downloaded, it's over for all y'all. Okay, put this in here. Okay. Now I should be able to run this. If I just go over to Dolphin, I mean my normal GameCube. Here, and then we'll go this, August, select, then run this. Since I patched it directly through the randomizer website, it should work, yes? It didn't bring up any warnings. I think we're good. I think we're actually good now. Okay. Alright, it didn't bring up any warnings about the seed. We're good. We're so back. Game Twilight Princess. Usually that's enough for it to go. Yeah, okay. There we go. Oh my god, please. I know you know it exists. It's lagging because I don't have it, because I don't have it up as, like, my first thing. Okay. Now, say goodbye to Plink. Say goodbye. I know you love him, but he has to go. You know, I've never... Well, I obviously probably have, but... I just don't remember seeing the deleting save file thing. Okay. Now we're good. We have a nice, clean setup for this. Now here's the thing. I don't have a funny name for Link. There's actually two things. I don't have a funny name for Link yet, and also I have to go to the bathroom. I literally went right before we started, and now I have to go again, and I don't know what my problem is. So I can't think about anything else. It's the randomizer made me have to pee. I'll be right back. While I'm away, think of a funny name for Link. Think of something really funny, because otherwise I'm just gonna name him like a swear word, and that's not really funny. Well, it is to me, but not to like anyone who's got maturity. Oh, you know what I learned in the last couple of days is I can make shaved ice at home. Specifically, like Bingsu style shaved ice, where it's milk, not water ice. It's actually really easy. Also, I'm back. Hi. I've received so far no answers. So, oh my god, the game's so loud. I didn't actually have my headphones on when I left. Also, I say it's so loud. It's loud for me. No, it looks like it's a good volume for you. But OBS can lie to me, so let me know if the game doesn't sound good. And I'm gonna make a really stupid joke. Oh, that's sounds. Is it playing rain sounds? Every time? Sure is! Great, okay, Yep, that's what I wanted. Thanks, controller. This is only funny to me. Him! Just in all caps. Epona, you can stay Epona. I don't have anything. I didn't have anything funny for Link. Look at him. Oh my god, where the fuck are we? I didn't even know you could get up here. I mean, I did know, but I forgot you could get up here. Because I never do. What a place to start us. I didn't even check our starting inventory. I was so caught off guard. Because that's random. Oh yeah, well, no, it's random, except we do have the horse call. Damn, okay. Fuck. Letters to him! It's funny to me, and I'm my target audience. Okay. Oh no. It seems to be inverted, but that could just be... a very, watery... It seems to be inverted, and I thought I needed... There's a chest up here? Who's just keeping the souls of dead people in their in the chests upstairs? They're like, I can't let anyone know about my secrets. If they find out, they're gonna think I'm crazy. And it's like, that's because you are. Why do you have a dead person's soul? You freak. Okay, there's nothing up here. I gotta get used to Twilight Princess controls again. Oh. I guess this is better than last time when it was explosions. What news you got? Danger! Keep out! Okay, well that's not news. That's not the news. That's just a warning. And I don't listen to warnings. Oh god! Never mind, I'm fine. Oh... I gotta get used to it being the other side of the controller again. Hello. I guess that's appropriate. Hello. That's a red rupee. Okay, that's... and those are actually both. Now it's just bombs. Okay. I figured the loss of rupees wasn't too big of a deal, so it's fine. Okay. Mallow Mart, Mallow Mart. Buy all your shit at the Mallow Mart. Dun, 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 dun. This is not... Hey. I like this, actually. That's useful. 200 rupees, huh? Listen, if I ever become... if I ever realize it's, like, important... Yeah, do you... I want to give you money, idiot. I'll come back when I have 200 more rupees. The kids don't tell you any- Hi, Epona! You're just... over there, I see. Okay. Oh my god, she's pink! I didn't even register that she was pink. I didn't make her pink. That happened on its own. Or, no, did I make her pink? I don't remember making her pink. We match! Look at us! We're both pink with white hair! We match! That's so cute! Aww. It wasn't done on purpose, but it's cute. Hi! Oh, him! No, hold on. I'll remember how to... None of you want to give me any information? Okay, y'all are useless. I don't know why I checked. I don't know why I bother. Wait. News! What's the news? That's just actually a sign that's supposed to be there. That's actually just normal. It's so much easier to get on and off of Epona in this game. News! That's actually also... Wait, I think do I have to go get my shit rocked by this Goron before it'll... before I can talk to... Okay, the Gorons aren't that scary. Let's be perfectly honest with each other. This music does still give me, like, anxiety, though. Hello! Can we be friends? No? Ow. You're so mean. I haven't done anything to deserve this. Alright. Epona, let's get out of here. We're actually gonna go the other way because I always feel it's most efficient for me to just start with the stuff that would be earlier anyway. I forgot about the graveyard! Wait here. Nope, sorry sweetheart, I was trying to get off of you, not... Never mind. Never mind, let's just move on with our lives. We don't need to elaborate on that one. The game does seem to be running perfectly fine right now, which is good. Hopefully it looks okay for everyone else. I don't have... Oh my god, I don't have a weapon. It didn't occur to me until, like, just now. But, thank you for the bug! Thank you for the bug. I will be on my way. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I came into the graveyard. I forgot I didn't have a sword. I guess I should, I guess I should have that ready because that's my only means of defending myself. Who needs a sword when you can just use a ball and chain? Oh no. This is our Hyrule Field music, huh? Great. I forgot if I said it so you have to... Oh. No, wait. Sorry. This is fine. It looked like rocks for a second. Oh. Just a little hiccup. Oh, it's because my keyboard was disconnecting. We okay? It seems fine now. What was that? Can you leave me alone? I have to check something. They say that the reward for its helping hands is the Palace of Twilight Comfort. Oh, okay. That's gonna drive me mad when I have to be running around Hyrule Field more. Never mind, I found something that's gonna drive me even more mad. Hey, friend. You wanna talk to me, or... There we go. That's not a lantern. Okay. What the fuck? So this gate is closed, right? Yeah. We need a key or the ability to be a dog for that. I don't know if we can be a dog right now. We might be able to. We might not. I don't remember my randomizer settings. I'm sure I remembered them a little bit better when I didn't have to worry about, you know, the fact that the randomizer wasn't set up. The fact that it didn't hatch correctly. Nope. I was about to be, oh, don't I need to, like, unlock the teleport point and, like, go fight the things? But even if I did, I don't have a weapon! Weaponless in Ordon. Okay. There's usually a chest in here. I mean, there's... Yeah. There's a chest in here. There's a chest downstairs, but I think you can only get that with a lantern. Oh my god. Why? Ugh! What the fuck? No, sorry. Yeah. You can't do anything until you have that. If it does too much more stuttering, I'll switch the model situation. Because I don't know why it's doing that. Because it's so at like random points. It's like, you have a rupee, and that's fucked up. Okay, Pona, let's wait. Can I read this from on her back? Nope. Hold on a second here. I'm gonna read my hint. Huge. Okay, well. Well, that's great. I didn't realize she was gonna be this pink. if she said the pink, I didn't realize it would be this pink. I figured she'd be like a little bit pink. I didn't think it'd be like this. Hello! Don't move! I need to talk to you! It's goat time! Damn it! Sorry, Midna, It's the exact opposite, but... Well, hey there, him! Yes, I did. Yeah. Why'd you run that way, dear? It makes no sense. I don't know why I expect it to make sense. The goats are stupid. Hey, other direction, dear. That one goat is pissing me off. Go in. Why are you over here? Sorry, it's actually two goats that are being stupid. Go. Go. Now I'm over a minute because of y'all. I'm gonna have to do this again. I used to be so good at this. I used to be so good. Are you fucking kidding me? I'll be back. In approximately 2 seconds. Hold on. Watch out. I should have just left it, Pana. Because I'm going back there anyway. Turn around. Turn around. Every now and then. Okay. Oh, the goats are still gone. Hey, no, I wanna do a goat roundup. That's still the wrong button. Oh, I guess it has to be a different day. You're so annoying. No. Let's... Okay. Yeah, I can't turn into a wolf right now. So I need the thing first. Good to know. That's a special tool that'll help us later. But not right now. Morning, him. I'm literally on a horse. What do you expect me to do? Link? Huh. Hey guys, I don't know what to do about this. Hey guys. What do I do about this situation? Hey, I don't... Link, sweetie. Sweetheart. The goat's gone. You... Huh. I guess we'll... Nope. Hey, Link, honey. My dear boy. You can't... The goat... You lost it already. Don't accidentally talk to this guy. He will spawn a goat that you can't escape. Hey, I want to wrestle. Yep. I want to learn to wrestle. Yep. Link, your hair color changed. Oh. Fuck. I'm pushing the wrong button. I was pushing B instead of A. Ugh. What the fuck? Oh. Don't. Oh my god, I can't feel like any feedback from my A button, by the way. It literally doesn't feel like I'm pressing the button at all, so I can't tell if I am. What the fuck? Oh my god! Bro! I hate you. I don't remember this being this hard. There we go. I didn't realize... I was like, how do you dodge him? And it's like, oh, you have to press A. Thanks. These iron boots will be really... This is a heart use. Fuck. Listen, you can't say Ordon isn't full of heart, but like, come on. This is redonkulous. Ridiculous. Oh, that's like actually a sign. Oh! Hello, I don't want to talk to you, actually. I don't care. Hello, bird. Okay. Go. Thank you for the help, monkey. Thanks, him. Why did you have that? Colin made that? What do you mean Colin made that? Why? He killed someone. Colin killed a man. I kind of feel bad. I just came into their house and stole 50 bucks. To be fair, I thought it was a sword, but I don't know if that makes it better or worse. I just walk into their house, take their money, and leave. I'm a really good neighbor, so, you know. Oh, don't I actually have to be able to turn into a dog to get up there? I don't think I could do it as a human. Yeah, they won't even let me climb up. No climbing for people. Alright, well. You know what that means. Fish? No. It means store. Well, I think the items up there are vanilla. Like, they're actually just money. I'm not 100% sure that's the case, but I think so. Hi. Oh, him! You back again? No, I wanted to... milk? No. Hey. No. I'm not gonna pay 30 rupees for 20 rupees. That just doesn't seem like the right choice, you know? I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but... Okay, yeah, the bee larva is gone. Like, maybe I'm being ridiculous. I just don't think that sounds like a good deal. You walk into a store and they're like, hey, we have a really good deal for you. You can give us 30 bucks, and we'll give you something worth... Actually, you know what? That's just how capitalism works, but still... That is the boss key for Snow Peak. Good thing I checked, I guess. I mean, assuming I ever need to see that boss. Whee! Okay, well that makes me a little curious about stuff that's over here. This way. Chicken. Oh, this is just vanilla. And that's vanilla, that's a ruby. Okay. Epona, let's get out of here. Fuck, I pushed the wrong button. Let's blow this popsicle stand. I forgot we can't speed up in here. We're not allowed to go fast. That tunnel's closed, right? Over here? Yeah. It is. So I think... Are you okay, Link? The rupees that would be in there are not available. Okay. Where should we go? What should we do? Who should we be? That's the heart sound, huh? The rupees have like normal rupee sounds, and the hearts are a crash. Oh, you know what? Fair enough. Now I've got to remember where we can get that doesn't require I have bombs, because I, you know, don't have bombs. Oh, this one you actually need a key for. What? Or need unlocked, rather. Okay, you need... I think I have to, like, actually go from Kakariko into Hyrule Field on the other side. This song's a lot less anxiety-inducing when I don't have a timer. It's kind of nice. Oh! Oh, it's like whenever I have to spawn a new region, it freaks out. Is that bug or flap? I'm being so genuine. It is a bug! See? I'm not stupid. All the time? You're not a failure. Overall. Woo! Opponent, you're so cool! Oh, I have the remaining rupees I need. Hold on. Mallow Mart, buy your shit at the Mallow Mart. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Here you go. Yep, I know, I'm super cool and generous and hot. I just like tack one compliment that doesn't make any sense for the context. Also, my heart's being purple is freaking me out because I keep being like, I have no health? No, it's just purple, dear. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Wow. You're mean. You're mean. You're being mean. I can't do anything to you. You're mean. Good thing I just fixed this bridge, huh? And these guys have such terrible aim. Excuse me, sorry, I don't have anything for you. Oh, sorry, Epona. Don't worry, I got this. Fuck, that's the wrong button! Oop, I was... Yeah, that's right. That's kind of brutal, actually. You walk up to a guy and just bash his head in with a ball and chain. It's kind of fucked up. That actually kind of makes me feel bad. Like, that one doesn't feel good. Well, I can't. Oh, hi, kitty. Sorry, all I can do is kidnap you. I can't actually do anything over there. Oh no, the bar is here. Oh no, I have to put you down. I'm sorry. You don't seem particularly concerned about the fact that I took you all the way over here, though. Like, yeah, that's fine. Hi, Telma! How's that Ilya doing, honey? I'm sure that Shaman will find a way to bring your memory back. That Rando's a talented man for sure. Aw, honey, you've got your own things to worry about. You just make sure you do what needs doing right now, okay? You gotta go talk to Asha, Northern Mountain. You got a map on the table. I'm not doing that, because last time I did that, it stayed on my map for forever. I figured there wasn't anything for talking to her, but I never remember. I know there's certain randomizer circumstances where you can walk in there and she can be like, yo, everyone, Link's here, and then it pans over to a room full of nobody being there. It's like, Telma? There's no one there. I guess it's appropriately scary for Agatha, actually. Hello. Yes, I have a bug. It's wet. Don't worry about why. Why did you do that to me? She's like, oh, thank you so much. Get frozen, idiot. Why would you do that to me? Why do you have to? Why does everyone have... Agatha, you killed someone. Somehow this is scarier to me than Mallow having the soul of a dead person. Why do you have that? The fuck? That's scary. Oh yeah, last time, I don't know if I told you, the Twitch clip that command, it actually worked. One of the times. It didn't work both times, but it did happen. Hey, buddy, what do you want? For the Gale Boomerang? Oh no. I actually need that. Probably. Is Hyrule Castle open? I can't remember if I set it to open or if it was mirror shards. I'm pretty sure I set it to mirror shards this time, but I can check. Also, there's a Goron. Oh, it's just open. I set it to just be open, huh? Oh, let's not actually... Hey, guys, let's not go in there when I don't have a sword. Well, you know what? No, I can protect myself with a ball and chain. Let's go. I guess it's a push door. Hey guys, it's a push door, not a pull. Can I go in the main door? Or is it locked? It is locked. I changed the key settings for this randomizer from last time because I was sick of the running back and forth. Perfectly executed, exactly as intended. I'm about to get my shit rocked, though. How did you miss? Ow! I was a stationary target. That's on you, buddy. Fuck. Just you and me. Perfectly executed. Ignore that I'm dying. That's normal. That was that was on purpose, probably. Can't you hit them while doing... Yeah. I'm gonna become like a master of using the ball and chain to kill. I'm gonna get so good at this. Okay, well that was, really that doesn't really count, because, you know, that was... That was, I can't think of an excuse. I couldn't think of anything. Come at me. You guys are so lucky I suck. If I didn't suck... Oh my god, Link! I know it's my fault, I'm blaming him! This would be so much easier if I had a sword! Even the Ordon sword. Even the wooden one. Just any weapon. Wait, I'm learning. I'm learning? I'm improving? I'm growing as a person? I'm having a character arc? First try! I know more enemies are coming, I just don't know where they are. Hello? You can't keep me here forever! Maybe you can, I don't know. It's starting to look like you can. Hello? 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 Oh! Where'd you come from? Anyone else? Just hanging out? Anyone else? Just an... Hello? Hello? See, now this is what they should do. Put the barrier up and just keep me here forever. But instead, they're like, there you are. Jeez. Got me worried I was gonna be stuck here forever. There we go. That one was really like, I don't want to go. I don't want to fight him. He just killed a bunch of people with a ball and chain. I don't want to do that. And the game went, you have to. And I went, no. And eventually it was forced to come face me. Oh, speaking of coming to face me, I don't think I can win this fight. Hey buddy, we've never actually met until just now. Oh, never mind. You can do damage with this? Apparently I... Okay. Okay. Link's a lot more talented than I was giving him credit for. Or the game's more versatile than I was giving it credit for. I expected it to be like, no, you have to use your sword. Now this might take forever, but it does work. And before this is the only weapon I have until I get Final Blow. Fatal Blow is is actually mandatory for beating the game. So I will need a sword at some point. When that point is, who knows? Come on, buddy. Ow. I have no, like, sense of depth. Hi, Nuggets! Hey, I hope you're well. It's been a while. I'm fighting for my life. Eventually this will kill you. It has to. You're taking damage, so it has to work eventually. Damn it. Aw. Sorry to hear that. That just means it can only go up. I'm really bad at being positive. Yes! To be fair, been there very recently. How many times do I have to hit you with this? It has to be a damage multiplier. It can't be possible that you're just not killable without the sword. You have to have a certain amount of health, and this thing just does not do that much. There we go! Finally! And then he's gonna give me like 3 rupees, and I'm gonna cry. A key! Enough. Somehow worse. Somehow worse than I thought. I was like, he's gonna give me rubies and that'll be really funny. He gave me an ice trap! That's so fucked up. What did I do to deserve that? Him! He spoke. Yeah. Oh, I guess on the bright side, the dialogue, like, overtook the... Oh, we actually got a key. Let's go. Despite everything, that worked out somehow. I don't know that I actually want to be doing all the Hyrule Castle stuff, considering I don't have a weapon and how that just went. So I think we'll leave Hyrule Castle, but... that worked out, I guess. I was just like, no weapon. I mean, technically I have the ball and chain, but as evidenced by all of that, as evidenced by the fact that that fight took like 10 minutes, it's clearly not my best option right now. I like that the rain is centralized to Hyrule Castle. Everyone else is fine. It's just Hyrule Castle that's suffering rain. Where's the store? There it is. That where the Gorons. The Gorons. Hello! A bomb bag? I don't even have 40 rupees. Hold on. What do you got? No! I don't! Thanks! I just need 1 rupee for the bomb bag, but... Oh. Hey. Yeah. Are you fucking kidding me? I'm in hell! I'm living in hell! Why? I gave you money for that! I gave you money and you tricked me! What the fuck? That was so fucked up! The randomizer really said, go fuck yourself, you're not allowed to have items. That's ridiculous. I guess I'll come back when I have more money. Well, no, because that was a trick. So, I guess it doesn't matter. Oh yeah, didn't I buy out the store? So this is... Oh, no. That was for the bridge. We haven't bought this. We haven't fixed that situation yet. Okay. I need to go this way. Oh yeah, you have the Gale Boomerang, so I need more money for that at the very least. I can't believe that guy is really like, give me 40 rupees for a bomb bag, and I went, absolutely, here you go, and he went, die. And I went, okay. Fuck. Who does that? Dun, 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 dun. Bug! Isn't the other butterfly... It's over here, isn't it? Yeah, you're so scary, shut up. There's a Poe. Is the other bug not here? Guess not. Okay, well, I can't fight the Poe because I can't be a dog, so we'll just leave. Hello, Epona. My very normal colored horse. Ow! Anyway, that guy was rude. Wait. No. Okay. Dun 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 dun. I'll find somewhere else to go. By that I mean, I'm gonna go down to Lake Hylia. Stay safe, Epona. I love you. Oh, good. I do have 20 rupees. I was like, wait, do I have enough money to go to Lake Hylia? News. Cats hide and seek is a okay, cool. I won't be playing hide and seek with any cats, I guess. Hey. Yep. You. Since I managed to land on the second highest one, I left that one on, but I did turn the top one off because I'm notably really bad at judging how far I am from things. Oh! Like right now, when I completely missed. When I missed literally all of them. Because I dropped myself too soon. Whoops! And I do not have the money. Well, I do not have the money to go back up and come back down, so we'll just we'll leave that for now. There is stuff I can check over here. I can't find out what city in the sky is because I don't have the hookshot. Is there a man up there? Or over there? Is he up there? Can I go talk to him? He's supposed to give me a letter. We just got a letter. It's across the bridge, not over here. You know, after doing so... What if I ended it all? After doing so many OT randomizers, I don't know if saying OT is actually any faster than saying Ocarina of Time. After doing so many Ocarina randomizers, I feel like I've actually started to know that game better than Twilight Princess, which makes me sad because Twilight Princess is the game for me, so... I have to do more of these. The silence is kind of freaking me out, if I'm being perfectly honest. Like, I can't be left alone with my thoughts! There's nothing in there. In my head, I mean. Link, why are you so wet? Everything you do sounds like water. Hello? Master him, is it? I guess. I didn't remember you calling him Master Link. What the fuck? Why does everyone just have puzzles? The Poes can't have any souls now. What are they gonna give me? The Poes are gonna have all the key items at this rate. The fuck? Oh my god, there was some, like, serious drop in frames there. Like, everything I get is a puzzle. I have 4 now. And I only have 1 key item. The only other thing I've gotten was a key for a dungeon I can't even get to right now. What the fuck? To be fair, the last Twilight Princess randomizer I did, everything in Ordon was just rupees, if I remember correctly, so I guess at least it's not that, but like, this is ridiculous. Can I get up there? I came over here with so much confidence, and now I'm realizing I don't think I can actually get up there. Yeah. Link can't raise his arms above his head, so... Can't do that. Link does not have the ability to lift his arms above his head. That's reserved for really special talented people. Well, came down here for essentially nothing. Now what? I guess we could try Flight by Foul again. I just need to get more money. And this time, I'll at the very least not drop myself into the water. It seems like a good place to start, don't it? It's like, just don't drop yourself in the water instead of on the platform, and you'll at least get 1 check. Which isn't a lot, but it's more than nothing. Did you put this rupee back? Yes! Infinite money! I mean, I am not stealing. Fuck. Sorry. I don't have that much control over my body. Okay. Yep. Take me away. A secret place? A great escape. Let me go. Whoops, I accidentally said no. Nope, you're the one today. Okay, I guess you're not the one. Stop rolling when I want to grab, Link. There we go. You know, I honestly don't remember what this is in vanilla Twilight Princess, like what these are. I assume heart pieces. Well, I didn't hit the bottom level, so I guess that's that. Okay. Imagine if I was talented. I also just realized that the music here is scary. It's like, there's enemies! No, there's not. There's just birds. Yep, let's go. Your dear streamer is gonna have to face his fears and learn how to fly. Wait. Yup. It can be any chicken, just pick one of them up, Link. Thank you. Fuck it, let's fly directly. This was a mistake. I don't know where I am now. I literally have no idea where I am relative to anything else. Oh my god! That was close, actually. That could have been way further off, honestly. The fact I was that close to it was impressive to me, at least. Considering I was stupid. Considering I'm stupid, that was not that bad. But you may understand why I turned the top check off, even if I had the item and I could stop the rotation. I just don't have the skill anymore. I did it when I was a kid. Oh my god, the frame dropping is not gonna help. Please, Link, grab chicken. Grab chicken. Stop rolling. Grab chicken. I think if you go this way, you almost get all the money you need to try again. No! Oh, man, I absolutely landed on there. It just took it away from me. Really? Game? Really? Also, you can land up there, but I don't know what's up there. I also didn't really think about the fact that this was killing me. You know, we can just... We can leave this to be a future me's problem. The rest of the flying stuff. You know, at least the low health noise is just actually the low health noise and not someone laughing at you or anything. I was hoping some of that grass would give me a heart, but it said, no, fuck you. I don't really know what my plan here is, because I'm going the wrong direction. I should really be going the other way, but we're here now, so... Isn't this... isn't this closed? Yeah. There we go. We at least fixed the heart problem. Oh. Every time it has to load a new area and it freaks out. But other than that, we haven't really had any frame drop issues as far as I've noticed. I can... hold on. Yeah, OBS doesn't show any drop frames, and the game, I haven't seen any drop frames, so... looks like it's actually been fine with having the model up. This time. I'm trying to think. I know, you're really impressed that I'm even capable of doing such a thing, because I historically am not able to. But I'm trying to think what we can actually get to with the items we have to, like, investigate, and I'm like, man, there's actually not a lot, and we can't teleport, so... And I can't check any of the grottos, because I can't be a dog. So... I should go see Agatha every time I have a bug, because I'm starting to think the bugs might actually be relevant. They might legitimately end up being important. The way things are going. Excusez-moi. I also gotta start making some donations. Hi. Here's 100 rupees. Yeah, I love dogs. I'm more of a cat boy, but I love dogs too. Oh my god, I forgot. The sound cue when you visit Agatha. Yeah. Here you go. What the fuck? Twitch, clip that. What the why does she always have... What is it with everyone having postals? I gotta make like a compilation out of this, because what the fuck? Oh, this will also be... I'm going to be better and actually upload my VODs. So... this should be a VOD on YouTube. So hi YouTube. Twitch has a new feature where if you say the words that I said, it will clip things for you. Supposedly. It's worked once. But who knows if it'll consistently work. Because it only worked once in like the 2 times I said it last stream, but yeah, apparently I'm gonna have to make a compilation of people just having the souls of things, because what the heck? What the heckity heck? The thing that's over there requires iron boots, right? Right. At the very least, I need bombs. I am a little lost on, like, where to start Right now, the only place I can go is Hyrule Castle. The only place I actively know I can go is Hyrule Castle, which is certainly something. And oh, I will go back there if it turns out that's the only place I can go. Oh, but I'm just like, uh-huh. Also, that's gonna be really annoying if it is the only place I can go. Just the turnaround of the turnaround of shame as I have to run all the way. Wait, there's a note here. Stop attacking Epona. Hold on. The lantern required can be found in the Lanayru province. Okay, thanks. There we go. Now we run back. It's looking a worrying amount like Hyrule Castle is the only place I can go. Which is really funny, but also very frustrating. Wait. Oh yeah, that's also blocked by rocks. Thunder, lightning, very, very frightening. I don't think I can reach this bug, so... I'm pretty sure if I hit this, it'll just, like, drop. It'll just fly. Ow! Oh my god, Link! That's so scary! He just hit a bird with a ball and chain! What the fuck? Link! I didn't know you could do that, bud! That's scary! Yeah, the bug won't come down. Okay. But I learned something new. Jeez. You have to actually see the dog before it'll put the skill up here, right? Or whatever it would be the skill. Fuck. Sorry, Epona. I love you. See you later. I have to go struggle. Let the rain fall down. I don't actually remember the lyrics that follow that. So my dumb joke falls apart immediately. Alright, well. Let's go inside. Wait, I'm stupid. I can't do anything in here. Thank you for all lining up perfectly for me. That was really convenient. I expected that, honestly. I mean, oh no! How could this happen? If you ever needed any evidence that being a boy does not make you good at video games, don't worry, I'm right here. Being a boy, like I'm not a grown-ass adult. Can you cancel the animation for it coming back? No. Ooh. Okay. Oh my god, more of them. I wasn't scared. I'm not scared. I'm not scared. Person who is definitely scared. Perfectly executed. I wasn't even worried about it. Ignore that I died. I mean, first try. First try? First try? Now, see, here's where I realized I was stupid. I don't have any way to actually get up there. This will be super useful for future me. Can one of these have a heart in it? Okay, well, I guess not. Because I don't have the claw shot. I still want to call it a hook shot. Even when I was a kid, and Twilight Princess was the only one I'd actively played, I still wanted to call it a hook shot. Yo, $1! Can't even pick it up, apparently. A heart! Like, any help, please! It did just kind of occur to me that I named Link like he was him from the Powerpuff Girls. Sorry, Link. Sorry, Link. I suck. I know there's not much I can do about that. We all know that I'm really bad at video games, so nothing. will change. Let me tell you, I will not grow. I will not improve. See, this works when they're far enough away from each other. Perfectly executed. I didn't even notice the birds die. Oh, because they didn't. Hi. Bye. If I don't have to fight you, I won't. No. Yeah, you guys are big mad. But have you considered that I don't care? That I don't care? Where's the... There it is. There he is. Oh, there's actually two of them. Come on, buddy. We're about to cause problems on purpose. But not for us. Okay, well that was a little bit of a problem for us, but most of the problems aren't for us. Are you fucking kidding me? It took so long for the board to charge up. Ow! I don't know why I said ow. I do that all the time playing a video. I didn't know you could roll under the board. You always learn new things playing a randomizer. Are you kidding me? I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry, buddy. I wasn't trying to do that to you. Come at me. Oh my god. Shut the fuck up. In some ways, this is really cool. In other ways, it's ridiculously stupid. The second I let go of it. Stop rolling under the board, babe! I'm so... I'm not being so brave about it. Oh my god, it's gonna reset everything. My god, I hate you people so much. Oh, wait, can the board fit through there? Am I doing all this for no reason? Sure am. I only need the board to break through here, and I could do that without dealing with them. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. I don't have the Gale Boomerang, which means I can't actually do anything in here. Huh. Guys, I think I just need to make a lot of money right now. I gotta go get rich. I need a get rich quick scheme. What's the fastest way to earn a lot of money? In-game. Skill Boomerang would help me in a couple ways. Did I read this? Okay. Thanks. Give it up for facts I already knew and also aren't useful. Well, I can earn some money. And 1, get Malomart built, and 2... I'm sure there's something else. Oh, I never went down. No, I'm not making the joke. It's too obvious. I never went south of Hyrule Castletown. At the very least, I know there's a bug out here. There's also a little note. What's the note say? The ball and chain. Okay. Bugs! Actually, that's bug singular, but... Bug! What a distinguished lady. You need to dig for that. Where's the other bug? Usually they're like in the same area. Usually, I think all the bugs are like in the same area, just like different places. The matching bugs. I don't remember what all that's for, but I guess it doesn't matter for me right now. Is the other bug? Yes, it's over here. There we go. That's our ladybugs. Excuse me, dear Poe, I can't fight you. So I don't want to. Hey, we have $50 now. Surely Agatha will give us something. I forget every time. Surely she'll give us something worthwhile. Yes, I have bug. Here you go. Oh! Oh my god, thank you so much! I can't express enough how useful this is to me. Here you go. And a bottle of oil. I don't have a lantern, but you know. It's still useful. Is the sword also pink? How did... Even the things I didn't set to pink are pink. Alright. Alright. Now that I can defend myself, I don't really have a plan. I forgot how much money you need to give him total. Well... Take me back to Kakariko. The one teleport I can use without fighting anything. Ah! You scared the heck out of me. I didn't know you were there. Fake Twilight Princess fan. I don't know where anything is. Now... we can go... over here... and ignore that Poe. Ignore it. And we can make a lot of money. Come at me! Fuck. Okay, you know what? That's on me. I missed. I won! Let me in! Okay, well. That's a good way to make money, at least. Speaking of money, don't you guys need money? Yeah. Oh, right, this is the... This is this. Which I'm very good at, obviously. I've never struggled with it. I don't remember how much time you actually have. What I do know is that I've fumbled about quite a bit and still made it, so I'm not too worried. My main problem was never making it there on time. It was always getting my shit kicked in before I got there. Nailed it perfectly, first try. Can you take me with you so I don't have to run all the way back? Actually, I guess it doesn't matter because I have... Epona. I think I'll also just take myself back to spawn because that's Kakariko. Is that the Zor? Nope. Yeah, you know what? That makes way more sense. I was honestly, like, too baffled to even be like, are you serious? The magic armor? No. Phew. You had me thinking you were gonna give me something expensive for free. You can't do that. I'll get my hopes up. I'll start to think the game is nice to you or something. Which is ridiculous. That can't be real. That would never be the case. Okay. We are going to... Oh no, I need an empty bottle, don't I? Ignore that I rolled into your... Ugh. Fine, whatever. Mirna, take me back to spawn. That's where I need to be anyway. It'll be fine. Oh my god! You know what? He didn't get as hurt as I thought he would. I thought he was gonna die, to be honest. I fully thought that was gonna be the end of Link. Hi. Don't worry. We can fix this. It's kind of like an ominous ticking. I'm trying to think of what the ticking sound is actually from, but I can't figure it out. This is just saying it's dangerous, right? Yeah. Dead end ahead. Okay. Oh, 200 rupees? Hold on, I can do that. I can do that easy. I just gotta kill a lot of birds. 200, that's only... 10 bird fights? That's chump change. Let's go. I actually hit it! Holy shit. Oops. I shouldn't let my hubris get to me. It often does, but on occasion, I overcome. Well, I had to try there. It was stuck on a tree. I had to try. This doesn't actually seem like the most efficient way to make money, especially when you can make about that much money just by walking in and out of Lake Hylia. And it takes a lot less time. Then I have to get over there and fly down, and it just seems like a lot of work. It just seems like a lot of work when I could kill birds for 20 minutes. We're a fourth of the way there. Okay, this is actually kind of annoying. Fine, I admit it's a little bit annoying. I forgot that was the sound for that. I wasn't prepared for it. If I could be a dog, I'd have so many options available to me for stuff for rupees. But I'm a boy, not a dog. And boys have less options than dogs for what to be in their lives. I don't know what I'm talking about. You know what? No, that's true. I stand by it. And you may be thinking, that was not even like a coherent like statement. No, it was real and true. And if you were a boy, you'd understand. If you were just a little guy, you'd also understand. Hi, opponent. You're kind of like unsettlingly pink. Okay. Isn't that way closed off? This is a genuine question. Isn't this closed? Apparently not. Or, yes, it is. It just is closed further down. Can horses actually do that? This is a genuine question. Can they spin on their back legs like that? To turn around? Horse experts, let me know. Any horse girls out there? Oh! I managed to flip off. I wasn't even... Maybe say that differently. I wasn't even trying to. Right, I don't have any finishing blow. And I only have a wooden sword. Drop a rupee. Fuck you. Losers don't even have money for me to rob them of. What kind of losers don't have money to be robbed from them? Ridiculous. Move out of my way. Bum, 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 bum. Oh. The Nehru Field Spinner Track okay. That one's gonna be the most important trust. It's not. It's not, in fact. Okay, I know I'm like doing all this so I can get money for Malamar, but here's 50 more rupees. What is it, 500 total? Or is it 1,000? I don't know, I never bothered with that guy. But now he's holding the Gale Boomerang hostage, so I have to. Hi, Epona. Let's go. The other bug is around here somewhere, but I don't know where it is. Alright. I'll be back, dear. Actually, I probably won't be. I'll probably just teleport back, but... Sorry. Actually, yeah, sorry. I probably won't actually come back this way. I'll probably just use the respawn thing. Yep. Oh, fuck, I don't have enough money! I forgot, I don't have enough money. Epona, I lied to you, I am back. Hey, Epona. Remember earlier when I said I'd be back? I'm back! Because your boy Link is stupid. I forgot I needed more money than this. Some of this money should drop money. What? Some of this money should drop money, yeah? Yes, that sentence was supposed to go? Some of this grass should drop money, is what I was supposed to say. None of it? I just need 4 rupees, come on. What the fuck? Please. Please, I'm so poor. I just need $4. Oh my god. Hi, Epona. I'm back again. I made no money. I earned $0 doing that. That grass should give you money. In my memory, it does. Maybe it'll be nicer if I run through it with Epona. This usually works. Okay, it did work. I got $1 whole dollar instead of 0. 2 whole dollars. Epona is the key. 3. One more? One more? Please? Just $1 more dollar. That was a heart. $1. Just 1 rupee. Please. Please, game, just 1 rupee. I guess I'll just go respawn the grass then. Alright, Epona, I'll be back at least 1 more time. She's the key to my success. Of course, such Link, just like any man, taking credit for a woman's success. I made that joke when Joanne's shut down. And Michael's kept going, but then they took in like all of the extra stock that Joanne's left behind, and it's like, it should, of course. 1, it should have been Michael's. I want Joanne's back. I also desperately need to be able to buy fabric. But also like, of course. I'm so sleepy. Yeah, I want to go. Let the rain fall down. Spread my wings. Is that how that goes? And wash- no, it's like wash away. Something. I don't know. I don't listen to music. Okay. Let's check this out. Fuck, I missed. Oh well. That wasn't the main point of coming back here. That was just, you know... What the fuck, Link? Hey, boy. What was that? $20. Now, we do kind of have a longer walk, since I can't be a dog, but It's an easier way to consistently get $20, so, you know. Keep counting at 20 rupees. I almost said, how did we get $9? It's like, idiot. From the flying part. When you were flying down. Oh, I should check something. Hold on. Okay. I have many a time had my model freeze and I not notice and nobody say anything, so I had to make sure it was not frozen. Ooh. I don't know if this is actually technically going to be faster with all the running back and oh my god, back and forth I have to do to get it, but hey, I just want to see something. If I choose the time of day, no, nothing changes out here, so okay. Back at it again. Too bad there's not any other places to exit to. Well, if I had a hook shot, I could go to wherever that takes me, which is not City in the Sky. See, it feels like all the dungeons are normal just because the only one we've been able to get into is Hyrule Castle, and that one doesn't change. That one has to be vanilla. Just like Ganon's Castle and OOT, it's always the same. And now we roll again. It surprises me that my equivalent of the A button, which is the X button on this old PS3 controller, it surprises me that it still works as well as it does, considering how it feels. If you push any other button, it gives you some feedback, so like it goes in and then it comes back out. This one does not. It literally... Oh, hey, look at the number of rupees. Haha, nice. It's the funny number. Like you push a button down, it goes down, it gives you a little click, and then it pops back out when you let go of it. This button does not move when you push it. It just stays where it is. So the fact that it works as much as it does is genuinely surprising. Honestly, kind of baffling, but I mean, I'm not complaining that it still works. I wish I had a better controller overall, but you know, it is what it is. I kind of have a sore throat. I think it's just because I'm dehydrated. It's not like I've gone anywhere to like get sick. I've not gone anywhere at all. Well, I guess I went somewhere Tuesday. But that was Tuesday. And it's Friday now. So that was 4 days ago. The amount of time it took me to figure that out was not a good showing of my my brain working. Embarrassing. Absolutely disgraceful. But I wore a mask. We could do it anytime I go out. I guess technically I went to check mail without a mask on, but I don't really think that was that big of a deal. Especially since I didn't encounter anybody. And yes, I still wear a mask when I go out because I'm immunocompromised. Because of my medication. Because my immune system's like, I would like to attack the good stuff. And I'm like, please don't. I feel like the side effects of my medication have been like hitting me harder recently though. Like I'm turning violently red more consistently. And like to the point that it hurts. I mean it always hurts. I'm in pain all of the time. But like very like there's a huge difference between when my side effects are happening and when they're not. Oh my god, I woke up this morning, which was 12 hours after the last time I took my medication. And I was, or was this yesterday morning? It might have been, it could have been both. It's been happening more frequently where I'll wake up and that's 12 hours after I took my medication because my alarms are set 12 hours apart. And I'm flushing, which is this really good game. I'm flushing, which is the side effect of my medication that's the most annoying and inconsistent. And this is losing its shit. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna still take my medicine because it's like, it's delayed release anyway. And the side effects don't kick in right away. They usually kick in like a couple hours later. But that was, you know, 12 hours later. And then I wake up and I'm still flushing. But then I don't have any more flushing throughout the day. So I know that the second time is because of the medication I took in the morning. So I'm like, why is my morning dose kicking in like having side effects immediately, and my nighttime dose is like, I'll see you tomorrow. My best guess is because I'd eaten before taking my meds in the evening, but in the morning I just take them because it's never relevant to when I take them. But then I'm like, well, did I even eat yesterday before I took my meds? Because that's not always the case. So it's like, I don't know, something's happening, and who knows. I'm gonna do all of this, go to Malomart, check the prices, and they're gonna be like, give us $300 for a blue groupie, and that's the best thing there. And I'm gonna be like, okay, well, I guess I'll just go fuck myself. So far, this randomizer has, let's see, given me the ball and chain, finally gave me a sword, and given me a lot of postals. Not a lot. How many? 5 postals. And that's it. And this is the second time in a randomizer Agatha has had a sword. I mean, it's like progressive sword upgrade, so it's not specifically linked to each, like, check. It's just like, whatever is the next sword compared to what you have. But last time she gave me the Master Sword. And I was like, girl, why you have that? At least this time she just had a wooden sword. That makes sense. I don't know why she has a postal, but you know. Who am I to judge? What right do I have, honestly? Haha, funny number, but plus 100. I don't keep ghosts around, but, well... Well, as far as I know, I don't keep any ghosts around. I don't... If there are any ghosts, they're definitely of cats. That's the only people who've died here. Are cats. There's quite a few, but most notably, my brothers. The cats. Are my brothers. Were? Past tense. I miss them. I've been thinking about it lately. I don't want to read you! Shut up! We're almost free! We're almost free of this. The enemy music is really not helping the experience. It can be like, oh, it's joyful. No, this is miserable. Unlike with my OOT randomizer where it's like, here you go, Song of Storms is your music. It keeps sounding like it's raining to me. Like in real life. I'm like, why do I hear rain? It must just be the AC or the fan, but I'm like, what the f- it sounds so much like it's raining. Which wouldn't be surprising for where I live, but I'm still confused. I am still confusion. It's the final 20. Oh, I don't have Paramount Plus, so so I haven't watched the new Avatar movie, but it has made me like be rewatching and thinking about the original series again, and I'm like, oh no, the hyperfixation is coming back. It's caused me to sleep in because I stayed up way too late. Oh hi. I'll be going. It's on the side. I keep forgetting. I've been doing better about remembering which side stuff is on in original Twilight Princess, but hey. Here you go. Congratulations. You're welcome. I'm super generous and you're honored to know me. Oh, wait, Epona? I should probably make some money, but I'm just gonna go. We'll find out what we need when we get there, and then I'll start making money. I honestly wasn't sure if she'd still jump. I wasn't 100% sure she'd jump, but I hadn't, like, told her to go fast. See, why couldn't we have this in Lake Hylia? Fuck you. Do not. Your turn. Leave my horse alone. Do not fuck with Epona. Wrong direction. I can accept many things, but not attacking my dear horse. Alright, Mallow. What's your business look like? What's the soundtrack? This isn't as fun as Mallow Mart. That, seems to be struggling. Boom deal. I kinda just feel like I got scammed. Anyone else feel weirdly like I just got scammed? Okay, well. What's... okay? What, what? That was weird. That was odd. A little suspicious. What are they planning? Alright, well. You know what this means? Bugs. They must hold the key to success. If only I remembered where the other bug was. So one of them was over here, on like the tree, or in the grass, something like that. And the other one, is it not over here? In this little area? There's a Poe, but I thought there was a bug. Yeah, you're scary. Shut up. Shh, I'm trying to remember where stuff is in this game. A thing I'm notably really bad at. I thought it... I mean, I did randomize sound effects, because obviously this is random. I wish I would randomize enemy noises, too. It feels kind of... I don't feel good about that when I do it. It feels kind of brutal. Oh, hi. Money! Oh, it's gonna despawn by the time I get there, but that one gave me money too. Oh, it's up there! I can't reach it. This is a little awkward. Ow! Alright, Epona, let's go. Actually, I'm sorry, I called you all the way here. I actually need to leave. Sorry, Epona. I actually gotta go somewhere else. What hints do you got for me? There's no required dungeon. Oh. Oh, yeah, because I didn't make Palace of Twilight required, so... Guess that makes sense. There technically is no required dungeons. I'm thinking about where there's bugs. Where are the bugs? There's a Poe up there. Is there also a bug over there? Or this tree? There's a Poe. There's no bug. Bugless in Seattle. Poop! That wasn't Epona that hit that. That was me. I hit him. I could be thinking of something over here when I'm thinking about bugs. I forgot you could do that, Epona. You're so cool. There's a Poe. Oh, there's a bug. Which I need the boomerang to get. Man, I really just need money. So many of my problems in this game would be fixed if I just had more money. I remember constantly being like, having an abundance of rupees when I played this game, you know, vanilla. And now that I'm playing a randomizer, it's like I never have any money. Will you guys fuck off? Hey, will you go fuck yourself? The lantern from the neighbor. Yeah, I know. Put that same note on 2 different signs just to make sure I saw it. Huh. I shouldn't have made being the wolf require anything. That's on me. I did this to myself. Okay. I do know where some bugs are. I had to like do a little thinking. Oh, I missed. Epona, come all the way from the south up here in the blink of an eye. Well, I had to teleport and cheat to get all the way over here. You are super cool and can do it instantly when I'm not with you. It's kind of upsetting that you're so much cooler when I'm not around. Ow, sitting hurts. I adjusted how I was sitting and I felt like all my pain hit at once. It was like, hey, idiot. You know what you've been doing to yourself? No. Can I pick you up without... Got it! So, we gotta go way over here. It's like by the bridge somewhere. Bum, 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 bum. My brain- hold on, my brain is buffering. It's trying to remember where this bug is. Isn't it like over here? Whoa! Oh! Oh my god. Clip that. Oh my god. It just disappeared. It's gone. The poor thing. Oh, the bug's on the wall. Ow. Stop. Let me, oh my god, it won't move. Link won't move. I don't know what his problem is. God, Link! Why? What was his problem? Not at the end there, that was all me not being able to aim for shit. But just when I was like trying to get off of Epona and he just wouldn't do it. Let me back here. Okay. Well, I can't get the other bug. I don't have a boomerang. So, let's just go give this one to Agatha, I guess. She'll be so happy. She'd be even more happy if I remembered where the rest of the bugs were, but she's gonna have to live with what I do have. You know what, Epona? I'm actually gonna leave you here so I don't have to deal with getting hit by the fire from these guys while I'm trying to dismount. I can just ignore them. Honestly, at this point, it might be in my best interest if Agatha just gave me money. Right now, it's... Because if she gave me money, I could donate it. say like 500 rupees, and then I could just use the Gale Boomerang to get more bugs, and then it would benefit both of us. If she really loved bugs, she'd know that. I wasn't trying to talk to you, I'm sorry. I just have to roll. It's almost 1. My dad's not back from work yet. Oh wait, it's the end of the month. He has to do inventory. Give me something good! Man. Man! I mean, they've been streaming for... Oop! I'm sorry. I'm sorry, game. I'm sorry. 3 hours. Holy... Well, no, that's not right. There we go. Oh. It really hates when I... Hold on. I gotta pause it. I'm looking at something. Oh. Hey, you guys want to know something funny? I didn't get the log for this one. I was gonna check the log and start cheating, but I couldn't do it because I don't have it. I don't have the log for this one. I gotta go get it. Later. No. Bro, I just don't... Oh my god, you have a Malomart bag. I didn't even know that was a thing. Oh my god, they all have Malomart stuff. I never noticed that before. This is the... Oh my god, there's so much Malomart merch! What the fuck? Hey, Giovanni. I know where he is, I just can't visit him or tell you anything. I think right now I really can only, like, do bug stuff. Don't say it like that. I can't go... Sorry, that's Ordon. I can't go to the woods. I can't get underwater. I can't get to Death Mountain. I think I'm just stuck on bug duty until I get enough, unless I get enough money for the Gale Boomerang, which is still bug duty. That still just gives me more bug stuff. Right now. There's nothing else I can do in Hyrule Castle, even. Huh. Okay, well... I guess... Alright. I guess next stream we will start with just getting enough money for this guy. Or more accurately, probably, off-stream. I will try to get all of the money we need for this guy. And we'll do that. We'll get our Gale Boomerang. And before it's an ice trap, it'd be really funny. It would also make me so mad, but we'll get the Gale Boomerang and we'll continue bug hunting. And that will be our way to victory. I think that'll be our that'll be the key to our success. Because I'm sure Agatha has like all the important shit. knowing how randomizers for me have gone thus far with Twilight Princess, Agatha's got everything we need, probably. She's probably got everything I can think of us needing. At this rate. What we really need is the Force Key or the ability to turn into a wolf. The ability to turn into a wolf would probably be more useful because then we could get into the forest anyway. But that will be a future me problem. Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm checking stuff. Okay. So, should we raid out? How do you guys feel about raiding out? You know what? I'm gonna do it because I see people who are like, so I will be back Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. What will I be doing? Wouldn't you like to know whether I don't know. I don't know what I'll be doing. I will post the schedule in Discord by Sunday. And then we will continue this for sure on Friday. I will not be doing this Monday. I know I've done a couple times where I do, because Mondays are just whatever I want. But, okay, literally all the days are whatever I want, but whatever. We will be, I think, continuing this Friday. I don't know what we'll be doing Monday. But it'll be August. It'll be in the last month of summer. Remember to hydrate, stretch, take your meds, go to the bathroom, have a snack, and all of that. Kiss your pets on the head. Take care of yourselves. Have a nice weekend. I love you platonically. Thank you for being here. I think that's all of the stuff, right? Right? Is that everything? Take care of yourselves.